This is 5.1, day 1, part 2. We have been focusing on transformations, and now we're going to give you the parent function, f of x equals x squared, and we're going to have 3 transformations. We want you to write that equation and then graph it. So let's talk about the first transformation. We want to reflect that about the x-axis. So here is our original parent function. In the blue. Now we want to reflect that about the x-axis. So what it's going to look like is it's going to first just flip about that axis. So what the equation does is, with the reflect about the x-axis, we throw a negative in front of the function. So right now our g of x looks like this, negative, and then x squared. But we have 2 more transformations to go. Now we need to horizontally translate it left 5 units. And then vertically shift it down 6 units. So where this new graph is going to look like, instead of my vertex being at 0, 0, it's now going to be at negative 5, 6. Right there. And remember, our graph is reflected about the x-axis, so it's pointing down. So our shape has not changed. So we still are right 1, down 1, left 1, down 1. And then as we move to the right, we're going to go 4 units and 4 units. So now here is the graph of this parabola with the 3 transformations. But we have to finish writing the equation of this function. So when you move to the left 3 units, that goes inside the function, so we have to erase that. And when we've left, it's going to be inside, so you have to think opposite, x plus 5 all squared. And then when you translate it down 6 units, that happens at the end, so it is minus 6. So there's our 3 transformations. Our red function is now our finished red equation and red graph. This one has 4 transformations. So let's graph the original parent function again. All right, and then what we have to do is write the equation for this new function with the 4 transformations. All right, let's take care of the first transformation. We want to reflect it about the y-axis. So here's my y-axis. When I reflect this parabola about the y-axis, it doesn't change the equation at all, because the order pairs, when I fold it along this y-axis right here, still is the same graph. So I'm just going to erase that. We don't need it. So the graph is still the same as the parent function. So where a negative goes now is inside the function. So it's going to look like this. Negative x raised to the second power. Notice there's a parentheses there. So if I were to go and clean it up, I would multiply negative x times the negative x, which is positive x squared. The next translation is moving it to the right 3 units. So my vertex is moving right 3 units. And then it's translated up 3 units. Sorry, 2 units. So now this is my new vertex point. Over 3, up 2. When you do a horizontal translation to the right, that goes inside of the function, and we said we have to think opposite. So now the equation, if we erase this, it's going to be a minus 3 all squared. And then the translations up and down occur at the end of the function, since it's a plus 2 at the end. Our last thing is a vertical stretch by 5. Where vertical stretches happen is in front of the function. So that's going to go in front of the function, in front of that parentheses. Now let's just graph the parabola. So if we look at our original parent function, those 4 key points, we need to stretch it along the vertical axes. That's the y-axis. So our y values are going to multiply by 5. So if we think about the first ordered pair, 3, 2, that's going to stay at it as it is because that's the critical point, the vertex. But then the next ordered pair, 1, 1, is going to stretch to by 5. So now instead of it being 1 up, it's going to be 5 up. So it's going to get really tiny. So here is 1 unit to the right. Normally I would just go right there and right here, but I have to move those points 5 units up. So I erase those little points. So there is my vertex. Go 1 to the right and then up 5. And then 1 to the left and then up 5. And there is our parabola stretched up by 5 units, reflected about the y-axis, shifted up 2 units, and right 3 units. Here is the finish of 5.1, day 2. Your assignment is page 320, 11 through 16, 26 through 31.